Hare Murare. He Nath Narayana Vasudeva Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare. Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare. He Nath Narayana Vasudeva He Nath Narayana Vasudeva Shri Krishna Bhagavan Ki Jai. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vishwaram Yata Sarvani Bhutani Adivanti Stitani Cha Yatrevo Pashamam Yanti Tasmai Satyatmane Namaha. So in this text, which is known as Yoga Vasistha, the discussion is about bondage and freedom. Unless one feels bound, unless one understands the ill effects of the limitations of bondage, one does not really seek freedom. And also, one should not be totally ignorant, nor one should be a man of total enlightenment, eligible for this study. This study is useful for the one who is not unwise or totally ignorant, one who is not ready to think, nor it is for a person who has already been free. So it is for those people who are in between. They are called, what is it called? Neither here nor there. What they are called? Trishanku, no, not Trishanku. What is that word for this? They say that. Neither here nor there. No, no. Neither heaven nor hell. There is a particular word for that. So one should not be a person who is totally ignorant, like an animal. It goes by its own nature. It doesn't even ask why. Nor a person who has become freed, who doesn't see the bondage at all because he's already been enlightened. What is our condition, you should ask? Do we seek freedom? If you say yes, then you must be suffering the bondage. That's why I said a happy slave is not fit for this knowledge. Typically, Sri Rama here expresses that state of seeking. I'm ready to die. Either I get freed or I'm ready to die. This is the condition with which Rama said, I want to know what it is. And I cannot do on my own. That also he made it clear that I cannot do it on my own, which I know. Swayam sevana chapnomi tam vishrantim anuttama. I myself cannot come out of this. I need help. Tadakam tyakta sarveho nirahankaratam gataha nakinchadapi vanchami dehatyaga drute mune mauna eva avatishtami lipi karmasu iva arpitaha. I just do not have anything to talk about. I just want to remain silent. Because it's not worth talking about it. So this way, when he was despondent, it was Vishwamitra who spoke to him. Hey, Raghava, oh Rama, you know it, but yet you are not seeing it clearly. The confirmation of knowledge is not there. So for many of us also, who have been studying Gita or whatever, and Upanishad, many other things, but we do not feel inspired unless we see someone who is living that freedom. Even Gurudev, he said he was an agnostic, or even not even agnostic, he was atheist to start with. He never believed that these things have any reason or sense. He thought it's all mere rituals that are done and there is no purpose for which they are being done. There is no lasting purpose. Until he met a master who lived that experience. Once he had seen someone who is living that state of freedom, thereafter there is no doubt. So those who have seen those enlightened people will have no doubt at all. There are two kinds of people who meet a master. Those who want something out of him. Those who want to be like him. Most people who go to masters, they say, what this Mahatma can give me? He will touch my head and then I will solve all problems. He will do something so that I will have more money. But if a person really understands what that master stands for, I would like to be that. That kind of freedom is what I want to enjoy. When I first met Swami Chinmaya Gurudev, he was already 70 years old, 1986. But I had no reason to really go because he was just giving a lecture. I said, okay, let me go and listen to the lecture. But more than the lecture that I listened to, what most attractive about him was that enthusiasm, that joy, that cheerfulness, that happiness, that freedom. He was standing for an hour and a half at the age of 70 and he was blasting away. I was wondering, by the age 70, if a person can stand there for an hour and a half more and joyfully, happily, cheerfully talking, there must be something in him. More than the content of the lecture, I was so amazed by the personality itself. I'm sure many of you have come across him, you would have seen that. At that stage of my maturity, I was only attracted to the personality, what he was. Only later on, when I studied and started listening to and then started seriously studying, then I realized where he is coming from, how that is possible. It is not an external, some putting in some makeup and standing there cheerfully that we do in the drama stage, but it comes from within. It's coming from within. There is so much of freedom. It is so much of joy within himself that is expressing in all his actions. Then he realized, oh, it is not an external mere facade. It's really coming from a spring within. There is something joyful within. So as we study the scriptures, we realize more and more about the masters. So it is always necessary that one should seek a truly enlightened masters to really get inspired. Otherwise, it will be just books. You don't see it really happening. And I often give this example. You go to a doctor because you have some issues, and then you, as soon as you enter into his room, you say, "Come on, sit down." Sit down. You will definitely run away from there because he himself is sick. What is he going to do? Or you go to a dentist. You want to get your teeth cleaned, and then as you go and stand in front of him, and he opens his mouth and smiles, no teeth at all. Will you dare going anymore? He himself doesn't have a teeth. How is he going to take care of mine? So he must be a man of joy, happiness, unreasonably happy. Ahetuka karuna sindhu. That's what Shankaracharya says. With no cause he is compassionate towards you. Ahetuka, without any reason. Karuna sindhu. He must have compassion with no reason. Happiness with no purpose. Unreasonably be happy. Because it comes from within. The joy is already there. So he says, I want to know this not from any ordinary person. A person who has reached there. So please teach me. Then Vishwamitra says, you know it. First of all, therefore, you should know why that the feeling of bondage is. That is where we saw vasana. The inner tendencies that are controlling us. Thinning down the vasanas are is the only way for liberation. Vasana tanavam rama moksha ityuchade budhaihi. This is very important statement. Budhaihi, men of wisdom, iti uchate. This is said. What? Vasana tanavam moksha. When you reduce your vasanas, that is what is called liberation. Remove the ties, not outside, within yourself. What is binding us down? I want this, I want to enjoy this, I want to do this. See, I want. That's why one person went to a great master. He said, I want to be happy. What should I do? He said, first two words you just remove. I and want. What remains is be happy. To be happy. But that I want is the one which is constantly holding us not to be happy. We don't really. You say, I want to be happy. What is actually holding you not to be happy is that those two things. It is like, I want to sleep. When do you sleep? Go on telling that. When do you sleep? When that I want is no more. The sleep is a condition where there is no seeking anymore. Right? But because of physical tiredness and exhaustion, we go to sleep. In the same way, that joyful, enlightened stage is where that individual self which is seeking, I want, that is quieted down. As I said yesterday, there are three things. One is impression, expression, suppression. Whenever we do an action with an idea, I want, impression is created. And that impression starts expressing itself. on its own, even if their external stimuli is not there. And when we recognize that, oh, this is what I demand, my demands are so much from the world, if we unintelligently suppress it, then it becomes a disease. It becomes a sickness. It becomes dangerous. Because the more you suppress, more potentially and powerful it becomes. So here he says, Patartha vasana dardhyam bandha ityabhidiyate. That strength of the vasanas is the real cause of bondage. So then he allows, Vishwamitra allows Vasistha to speak. No, you speak. So he says two types. Dvivido vasana vyuha shubhaschaiva shubhaschate vasana ogena shuddhena tatra chedapaniyate tatkramena shubhenaiva padam prapsyasi shashvatam adachet ashubho bhavo yatna chetavya sat. There are good vasanas, good impressions that make us do right things. That will eventually lead you to a state of freedom. So in the any tradition, whether it is Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, or Hinduism, anything, the religion creates the good vasanas. You go to a church or any place of worship, pray to the Lord, do meditation, or do some service, some prayers. These are all Shubha vasanas. They are also, no doubt, certain amount of desires. But those desires are eventually to make you come out of it. Whereas opposed to that is doing something which is more selfish for oneself. For example, I want to go and enjoy a movie, or go and then do something for the sake of just for personal individual sense pleasures. So then what happens? You are creating a web on your own. As yesterday I said, you are making a small cocoon on yourself. You are binding yourself. Whereas when you are doing that which is not only for yourself, you are doing for a larger purpose. Mind you, even when you are going to the church, you are not doing it for yourself. That you must recognize. I am coming to the church, I am coming to the temple, etc., to become part of a community which is living for a greater purpose. In the temple also, you are staying and praying only for let my business be better, let my health be okay, let my family be okay, let my this only my. Then you are still living in the cocoon only, then in the small little world of yours. So the religions have a role to play in creating that Shubha Vasana, the positive impressions. So he says, Vasana augena shuddhena. By these pure vasanas or pure impressions, tatra ched apaniyase. You will, if it is there, then you get what? Tat krabena shubhena eva. In due course of time, padam prapsyasi shashvatam. You get the higher state. Every religion has got a symbol. The cross that is there, it's nothing but two wood, one wood like this, one wood like this. That's all it is. Is it not representing something? What is it representing? It represents sacrifice, right? Someone 2000 years back, he gave up his life for the sake of the humanity. So that when you look at the cross, you remember sacrifice is taught indirectly to me, that I must be able to ready to sacrifice my personal comforts for the sake of a larger purpose. That is what is taught there. So every religion has got symbolisms. So that will create the good impressions in our mind. So when I do not have a right relationship to another person in the same community or who comes to the same church, what should I do? Not fight, but sacrifice. When you hold on to our own ego, then obviously coming there has no purpose then. You're only still concretizing your ego, even in spite of coming to a congregation like that. And you're not learning the very purpose of religion. So, religion is essentially creating the correct atmosphere for us to come out of it. If you know what it is meant for. Otherwise, we also become fanatic. Earlier it is a little ego, now it's a larger ego. Earlier I am who I am, now I am become more ego, like I am a Christian, you are not a Christian, and that kind of, or I am a Muslim, you are not a Muslim, I am a Hindu, you are not a Hindu. That kind of a larger identity and larger ego comes. So that opening, so somebody is talking about, we should not create walls, even if we have already walls created, let it have windows and doors before it is broken down. Allow the people to walk in, peep outside through the window. Later on, you can break it. So we must have religious beliefs, no doubt, because it gives certain amount of discipline to us. Some Shubha vasanas it gives, but then it must have enough openings. Otherwise, we will be caught in the fort that we have built on ourselves. So here he says, in case if you do not have the good impressions, adached ashubho bhavo yatnat chetavya evasa. Then it has to be destroyed. Continuing, he says in the 29th page, verse number 6. Shubha shubhabhyam margabhyam vahanti vasana sarit paurushena prayatnena yojaniya shubhe pati. The life flows like a river between the two banks called Shubha and Ashubha. Or there are two streams of rivers, two streams of water. One is Shubhapati and another is Ashubhapati. Path of good and path of bad. Or as we have seen in Kathopanishad and other things as Preyas and Shreyas. Good path and pleasure path. Path of pleasure, path of good. Shubha Shubhabhyam Margabhyam Vahanti Vasana Sarit. Sarita means a flow, a river. It flows in two directions. Paurushena Prayatnena Yojaniya. One should engage with self-effort, Shubhepati, in the path of good. What effort should be done? What do you call it as an effort? Prayatnam. What is this effort? In the Hindu tradition, there are three important, what you call, upasana, three kind of sadhanas that are said. One is known as seva, upasana, and jnana. Or otherwise, karma, bhakti, jnana, let us say. Doing good to others is also one form of creating good impressions in your mind, where the ego is thinned down. Upasana, or sitting next to the form of the Lord and praying and meditating, is another way of letting go. Knowledge is the method by which you think, and three methods. One, by serving others, expecting nothing. Some people are for that. They cannot sit down inside in a temple or in an altar and then do meditation. No, that's not possible. I want human contact. I want to see it happening. I want to do something. Most of us who are thus very much extrovert and wanting to engage in work, Yes, the path of karma is for such people who can engage in the world but expecting nothing from others. This is why Krishna highlights that as an important part for Arjuna. Jnanat karma phala tyagaha tyaga shanti hanantaram. In 12th chapter, he says, do karma phala tyaga, do the action with expecting nothing in return. That is one way of creating a Shubha Vasana or good impression in your mind. What is good impression? As I said, where there is less and less full portion full of vasanas. I want is no more. I want is less and less. What I can give is more and more. That's why in our pledge also, giving more than what we take and producing more than what we consume. May thy grace and blessings flow through us to the world around us. Right? We believe that the service of a country is the service of the Lord of laws, and devotion to the people is devotion to the Supreme Self. What is that? Let me give more than I take. Let me produce more than I consume. That is seva or karma yoga. That reduces the vasana pressure. In other words, let us say I see somebody is in trouble, whereas I have my own pet, or I have decided to do certain things for my own pleasure or my own joy. When suddenly this particular task is in front of me, what decision should I take? Should I do what I like to do or what I am supposed to do? Most of us, we say, who cares? I would like to do what I would like to do. No, at that time, no. What I'm supposed to do in this situation is more important. That is Swadharma, what I'm supposed to do. So where one is ready to sacrifice one's personal pleasures for the sake of doing something good for somebody else. So to that extent, you have already diverted your vasanas. You have replaced the tendency of for doing only for your own self with something which is good for others as well. So seva or karma is one method of reducing your pressure of vasana. Another method is upasana. Upasana means staying near the presence of the Lord. Staying near the presence of the Lord means what? Where I am doing something with no particular reason for myself. Like we had, for example, last 9 days, we had chanting of the whole of Ramayana. 9 days, every day, 3 hours. And many times this thought came to me, I'm just chanting. Who is listening? No, we are chanting the entire Ramayana, Tulsi Ramayana, which is voluminous so much. It takes 27 hours to complete it. Just reading, just chanting, not even reading with the purpose of knowing what it is. That will take more time. Just chanting. So in front of the Lord, you sit there, and every day morning from 9:30 to 12:30 chanting. One day I was just chanting, and suddenly, as I was chanting in my mind, who is listening to this? Why am I doing this? Many times when I'm chanting, when I stop, everybody stops. And sometimes when I stop and then I learn that nobody is chanting with me, I get upset. Why are you people sitting there doing what? Then I realized I'm not chanting for them, nor they are chanting for me. So that very action of doing a prayer is not meant for the Lord to become happy. Then for what? Then for what? To that extent, my mind is not occupied with my vasanas. To that extent, my mind is become immune to all those things. And the effect of it remains for next few hours also. It is not suppression, it is substitution. Where the mind can engage in so many other things, if given the same 3 hours, I would have done so many other things for my selfish purpose, right? So when upasana is where you sit in front of the Lord and think of nothing else, only that. Only the Lord. Me and Him. Nobody else. Not for somebody else. Not for the sake of the Lord. It is for the sake of being away from my usual, habitual thinking and doing selfish things. I'm relieved from all those things. The alternative of that is those 27 hours I would have done so many things for my own pleasure, right? And it had accumulated more depressions in my mind. Swadhyaya pravachanabhyam na pramatitavyam. It is said in the Upanishad that don't stop ever. Study and explanation of what you study. Explaining what you study. What is the necessary about it? Why am I talking to you? Is it that I want you to recognize me as a man of great scholar and who knows? If that is the case, I am actually not doing the right thing. I am talking because I want to know. I want to clarify myself. So many times when we teach, we learn more. Why? Because that's when the clarity comes. So when you are sitting there in front of the Lord, chanting the name, to that extent, you remain pure because you are substituting the egoistic, selfish vasanas with something which is neutral. So that is upasana. Ekagrada chintanam, upasanasya palam. One pointed attention on your goal is the result of prayer. Upasana, sitting next to the Lord. We do upasana also. Every house I go, TV upasana takes place. Huge TV. Isn't it? Sit there and watch. TV upasana, computer upasana, mobile upasana. So, Bhagavat upasana, Deva upasana. Start sitting in front of the Lord because He shows who you really are. He is a representative of your own inner self, the happy self. That is upasana. The third one is jnanam, study. Studying the scripture with an intention to gain the essence of it that will be practical in your life and make you free. Think about it. What did I study? What did I learn? How am I applying it? Go on showing that. Today morning also I was telling, when you study, it is not just because you want to talk about it next day. You study and keep on chewing on that the whole week. Then you will naturally come out with your own understanding of it. I tell the Balvia teachers, don't study previous night. You must have studied much before that. You can go on thinking about it. That thinking process helps you to clarify your vision. Make you apply it. So that is jnanam. That also, therefore, able to make you recognize the wrong tendencies and egoistic pursuits, and as soon as it comes to you, immediately detect it. This is not the way I'm going to go. Because very often our problem is we react immediately to any situation. Here you give a pause. Just think, is it right? Is it not what I'm doing every time? Should I do it the same way? Can I change it? That is the effect of thinking. Thinking helps you to change directions. Isn't that true? If you don't think, you will go in the same way. We don't even notice that we are doing the same thing. While you think, I can make a change here. I can choose not to do the same way. So jnanam. So karma or seva helps you to expand your vision of your identity. Upasana is a substitution of your ashubha with shubha. Jnanam is very able to change the way you do things. That is called paurushena prayatnena. That is what is called purusha prayatnam, self-effort. In other words, what happens is our mind, when it is given to itself, it does vikara. When you start doing your spiritual part, you do vichara. There's a big difference between vikara and vichara. Vikara is distraction, vichara is focus. A well thought about focus. Okay, I thought about it, this is how it is. Vichara, inquiry. So, yojaniya sudurti, that's one should engage in that way. See, for example, when the rain falls in the mountains, there are many different streams come out of it. Some of them will fall and then go to and some ground and then get dissipated there. Some of them, when they come down and then they join with others, and you'll so after some time you'll find they have gathered greater momentum and they become a river together. Right? When distracted, the mind, it just loses itself. When it comes and joins with the mainstream, it becomes a river, which will eventually reach the ocean. They want to just get lost into themselves. In the same way, many thoughts that are there in our mind every day, if they don't have a direction, it doesn't give momentum. Mind has a great energy. It can give greater momentum, provided we cohesively think towards one direction. If our mind is just so extroverted and diverse, and then it just gets dissipated. People get exhausted. They're so exhausted thinking about what? So when we have a focus and direction, the mind is a great source of energy. Anybody who is greatly successful in any field has a discipline of thinking. Think about it. Even Hitler, for that matter, very disciplined in thinking. Therefore, he was able to apply himself. Short little fellow. He shook the world. Isn't it? Because of the direction in thinking. Whereas in many other intellectual and great personalities were there during his time also, but momentum was not there. And momentum comes because of focus. It is not just a physical discipline of doing things, but it is the mind which is able to focus. And it is always said that if your focus is there in your mind, you don't need to physically exert too much. If the mind is distracted, a lot of physical effort is necessary to achieve things. So many people also go on reading and reading. Oh, I don't understand what it is because you're not focusing. There's so many things we read, but you don't understand anything. But if you are focused properly, then even once you read, it just gets it there. So here he says, Purusha Prayatnena, by self-effort alone, the momentum takes place that will take you to the next level of awareness. Continuing, Tadapakvakashayena Nunam Vijnata Vastuna Shubhapyasau Tvaya Tyajyo Vasanadyo Niradhina Tataha, thereafter, Pakva Kashayena. Kashaya is passion. Pakva Kashayena. Pakva means which is ripened or it has fallen. When the fruit, when it's fully ripe, falls off. In the same way, when you have understood the thing clearly, it will no more remain there. It will just fall down. Pakva Kashayena. Nunam Vijnata Vastuna. Or also recognizing the higher reality. Certainly, Shubha api asau tvaya tyajya. Now, this is the beauty of the whole scripture. Going to religious places and doing pilgrimage, doing prayer and meditation, confession and service and this and that, even that should be given up. Oh, what are you talking, Swami? Religion is only a stepping stone. It is not the goal or the ultimate destination. Religion gives discipline, all right, a direction. Just like a map gives you direction. But when you have to reach a place, your map is useful, no doubt. Once you reach, the map has to be discarded. Because your purpose is not to stick to the map or live with the map. Once you reach the destination, chhod do usko. So many masters we have seen, they are no doubt very religious in their approach. But once they have reached the point, they no more follow any of the religious discipline for the sake of themselves, but they do to teach others. Because if you say, if this is the path I went, this is the religious path I went, when you're reaching there also, still sticking to it means you are still bound there. When you are sleeping, you need the bed, the pillow, and all the other things. After you sleep, you don't need any one of them. Right? You don't need to become aware of that. They are there or not. When you are sleeping, you are aware that you are lying down. If you're still aware, then you're not sleeping. So the religion and all other disciplines are necessary up to a point. After some time, you recognize that they have helped your process. They have definitely you have used them and discard them. Because when you want to be free, nothing should be held on to. You should hold on to. Then, if you hold on to that, then you become fanatic. Oh, this is the only way. You don't accept and acknowledge all other ways that are there. When Buddha reached the Buddhahood, Christ reached the Christhood, Krishna reached the Krishna consciousness. Once they reach, they are all the same. Whichever paths they have taken, they reach the same point. And they don't therefore claim, this is the only way. No, when they reach, hey, you are also here. How did you come? Oh, I came in this road. Oh, this road also comes here only. Yes. That was Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He tried all the paths and realized that everything reached the same point. He went through the Islamic way, he went to the Christian way, he went through the Tantric way, he went all the way, and then he realized everything leads to the same point. That maturity shows, then he says, all of you, whichever path, whichever belief system you have, you reach the same point. So that's why he says, Shubha api asau tvaya tyajya. You should give up that also. Vasanadyo niradina. Even the earlier vasanas, you must give up niradina, free of all anxiety. By the one who has become free from all this, should give up even that. Just like you are in this bank of the river, you want to go to the other side of the river. You use the boat, all right. After reaching there, oh my dear boat, oh boat, you took me all the way, then I will take you also with me. You should leave the boat to the water, then you are not supposed to take it anymore. You reached there. It was helpful, all right, but afterwards you have to walk out of it. Similarly, all disciplines of religious nature, all the prayers and meditation and chanting the name of the Lord, all are useful, no doubt. But once having reached the point of enlightenment, none of these things are necessary. Problem is, those people who have reached there should not say, not for others is necessary anymore. This is where the problem comes. Today also we discussed this point. So in the morning, some people who reached there say, these are all useless. For you it is useless. For those people who are still on the other side, they need this. You cannot discard that. Don't read any books except mine. What do you mean by that? Gita and Upanishads are useless. Hey, how can you say that? For those people who are still struggling there, they need some kind of a support. They need some amount of conviction. They need some amount of inspiration, for which they need to go on to drawing inspiration from so many other sources. So therefore he says, Pakva Kashayena, only after you have burnt all your vasanas, Nyunam Vijnada Vasuna, after realizing the truth, then Shubha Api Asau Tvaya Tyajya. This has to be given up. Not before that. I told you this, one lady was putting makeup. She was to go for a party. So a young boy came. Mom, what are you doing? I want to look good. He's putting makeup. I have to go for a party. I want to look very attractive. Then he went and he was playing. Then she got a call that party was cancelled. So she started removing. Boy came. So he gave up. You were trying to be beautiful. Now you gave up on that. Even that makeup you put just to look good. After some time, you cannot live with that for the whole day. You just have to remove it. You have to become you who you are. Let's say some houses I don't go before telling them. I'll be in for a great shock. Because without the makeup, I can't even recognize them. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So there, once you reach the point of total enlightenment, then you realize all these things are necessary. And not before that. So in the beginning stages, we all need to properly handle our own two different kinds of asanas, those which pull us down to bondage, those who can pave way for further moving up, and we must necessarily substitute the bad ones or those which are creating more bondage to ourselves, that should be substituted by the right ones. Mokshadvare dvarapalaha Chatvara parikirtitaha Shamo vichara santoshaha Chaturta sadhu sangamaha. Now, how do I know whether my direction is right or not? Whether I am going to the right direction? You say that liberation is possible for everyone. And it is based upon how you are able to thin down your vasanas. What are the indicators by which I know that I am in the right direction? What are the 4 guardian angels for liberation? In other words, what are the 4 guardian angels for liberation? Like in Gita, they said there are 3 guardian angels for hell. Kama, Krodha, Lobha. Desire, anger, and greed. These 3, if you have, sure you are in hell. Huh? You are in hell when you have these 3 for sure. Passion, extreme amount of desire, that is passion, calm, extreme amount of anger, intolerance, and greed, just wanting more and more and more and more, never satisfied. Hell. Surely you are in hell. Not only you are in hell, you create hell around you, and anybody around you will feel that. So what are the 4 guardian angels for moksha, liberation? See, this we understand, not only we become so free, we create that atmosphere of freedom around us. First and foremost, shamaha. Mind is quiet. It's very hard to even explain that. It's not physical, it's not talking, maunam. It's not about absence of sound, absence of thought, which is not easy for anybody to even externally recognize that, whether my mind is quiet or not. Some people may be physically quiet, mentally extremely agitated. It's like those ducks in the pond. Have you seen them? Ducks in the pond. In the top, they look below. They are struggling to exist there. Externally. So they're so smoothly moving there. But under the water, that is not what we are talking about. Within and without. There are some people who are very active externally, but internally they're extremely quiet. That internal stillness is what is called shama. That's the first and foremost indicator of the fact that you are on the path. So this is not, as I said, somebody else cannot recognize. One must understand oneself. My mind, is it quiet or not? At any given time, keep checking. Sometime back, I don't know whether I told you. Few years back, maybe 10 years back, I would say, I had taken up a small sadhana or practice. Every 2 hours, I'll sit down for 10 minutes to do japa, chanting. I found it very, very useful. Every 2 hours, let's say I would say 8 o'clock, 8 to 8:10, I will shut myself down. Sit down, quieten my mind, doing japa. Easiest way. 8:10, I'm out. Be in the world to do things. 10, back. Wherever I am, back to my room. 10 minutes off. See, that is possible only when you are living in a particular place and traveling, it's very difficult. But try this. Why I am saying this is, you must check yourself. Nobody else can. So between the 8:10 to 10 o'clock, your mind may be going anywhere, but then you are bringing back to that state of stillness. Bring to the backdrop state of stillness for 10 minutes. Then get back. And you will find eventually, this is what I observed, eventually the duration of stillness increases. Not just 10 minutes and becomes 15 and 20. Then you find between these two occasions of sitting quietly also, the mind has reached a state of stillness. So that is one who has to personally put that a checklist. Am I quiet? Or put a big sign in your room. Am I quiet? Once in a while, look at it. Am I? Or put a question, who am I? Check constantly. Because we get lost in our daily routines and daily interactions with the world. And then what he said and she said and he said and he said. Mind has so many things to think about. So that shama is inner quietude. The mind becoming still. Not just absence of sound, it is absence of thoughts. And sometimes we say, oh Swamiji, that is a time when I get nice thoughts, to do that or that. Whenever we become quiet only, there are new things come up. Forget about it. Don't even pursue that. Those 10 minutes are exclusively for yourself. Nothing of the world is of any importance to you. Shama. Then, so if you are doing it as a quietude, inner quietude or stillness is what you're doing, checking, then what do you do rest of the time? Vichara. See the next one? Thinking. Thinking it, whether it is to the right direction am I going, or I'm just going towards the world? Am I going towards myself, or am I going outside? Vichar. Vicharanam, movement. Charati means to move. Which direction I'm moving? That's called vichar. The word char is a very interesting word in Sanskrit. Char becomes chariot in English. Char means to move. That which moves is chariot, right? And when the words move, it's called teacher. Acharya, teacher. Acharati idi acharya. Became teacher. And what does he do? Prachar. Prachar means pracharati. Prachara. Prachar means to speak. But he must conduct himself, become achar. With achar के बिना प्रचार बेजार हो जाएगा. Without achar, without personally conducting, mere talking will have no weight. Vichar, achar, and then prachar. Think, walk, and then talk. Without thinking, walking is not correct. Without walking, talking has no meaning. So vicharam guru, acharatu, and then prachar. So vichara is right thinking. So when you have checklisted whether my mind is quiet, and between one state of quietude and another state of quietude, where is the mind moving? That is what one has to check. This is the second angel. Third, santosh, contentment. I am happy with what I have right now. That doesn't mean you should not work for anything more. Please don't misunderstand me. That's why it is said that be content with what you have, but never content be with what you are. So one must first of all recognize what one already possesses, owns. That itself is sufficient for me to survive in this world, no doubt. But I can do more things. But that is out of choice, not out of pressure. So this contentment should lead you to become more competent for the sake of living up to your potential. Not out of any pressure from any world outside. When you do because somebody else wants you to do, you'll never be able to do it happily. Isn't it? When you start loving what you do, you don't need to work a single day. So when santosha is there, contentment is there, then out of that contentment when you work, it is out of joy. Then challenges are just a playful challenge. But if I am basically discontent, unhappy, and out of pressure of that when I work, I get irritated, disturbed, and I feel the pressure of it. So santosh, contentment. And the fourth one angel is Chaturtha, Sadhu Sangaha, association with men of wisdom. Because they will give you all the guidance for all the three. That is Shama, Vichara, Santosh. Most of the saints live very simple life. There is no extravagance about them. There is no ostentation about them. There is no exhibitionism. There is no superficiality. There is no showing off, pretension. It's just simple, in and out. There is no inner world and outside world for them. They're just open. There is no inhibition. There is no hiding. There is no insecurity about them. So when we live with such people, we say there's such a simple life. So sadhu sangha, association with good men of wisdom, will assure you what is shama, what is santosh, what is vichar. We complicate our life too much. What is he thinking about me? What is she thinking about me? What is he talking about? We have absolutely no reason to worry about why others are what they are. But our vichara is only about that. Our thinking is only about what others are thinking about, what others should think about me. Living like Jones, or what is it called? Living up to the Jones, keeping up to the Jones. Oh, why unnecessary? You live your life. So, these four things you remember: inner stillness, contemplation, contentment, company of the good people. In other words, four C's: calmness, contentment, contemplation, and company. You foresee everything then. If you have these four C's, Samas vichara santosha chaturta sadhu sangamaha. These are all the four guardian angels to liberation. And I'll tell you, see, even one you have, to that extent you are free. If your mind is quiet, to that extent, that aspect of your personality is not going to disturb you. If the mind is still and calm, that mind will not become a burden to you. And when you have the knowledge properly thought about, well understood, the knowledge will not become a bar or a boundary or bondage to you. When you are santosha, wealth is not a bondage. When you have company of good people, then the world is not a bondage. See, that is why it is said, I'll tell more about you, show me your friends. Why? Because if you show who your friends are, I know who you are then. So if you have the right people, men of wisdom around you, then obviously you cannot be stupid. Because they would have thrown you out long time back if you're stupid. They will not tolerate you. Because, if you are not ready to learn from them, they will be wasting their time with you then. So, men of wisdom, if you have them, surely. That is why it is said, Acharyavan Purusho Veda. This is a statement from the Upanishad. Man who has the right teacher, he will know. Acharyavan Purusho Veda. He who has the right teacher must definitely become wise. So if you have the right teacher, you cannot be stupid. You must know it. That is why it says, Uttishtada Jagrada Prapyavaran Nibodhada. Having got the right teacher, must learn from him. That is the very purpose of being in the company of the right teacher. So, these are the four guardian angels one must recognize. So, understood? So, one should not ask question, what is the means or what is the indicators for knowing what is the liberation? These four you have, then you're sure to be there. Continuing, he goes there. Now, chapter 2 starts on what is that which one should do vichar? What should one think about? अथ तृतीयोऽध्यायः वसिष्ठ उवाच बन्धस्य तावत् रूपं त्वम् कथ्यमानमिदं शृणु ततः स्वरूपं मोक्षस्य ज्ञास्यसि त्वम् असंशयम्. Tvam Katyamanam. That which you spoke to me about, idam bandasya tavat rupam shrunu, tavat rupam. That which you explained about the nature of bondage, which you have explained to me about. Now listen, tataha swarupam mokshasya. Now you understand what is the nature of liberation, which you will know. Jnasyasi. You will know asamshayam, with no doubt. You have explained to me what bondages you felt. Everything is so ephemeral, so transient, and I don't see any Israeli content in that. And I don't take any interest in these things because nothing is really going to last for happiness. And all those things you understood. Now you understand what is the nature of liberation. Swarupam mokshasya jnasasi. Asamshayam, no doubt. Because it is the doubtless knowledge that really makes you steadfast. In meditation, asamshaya jnanam bhavati. It just one stays there. If you have a doubt, you cannot stay for a long time. It is like, we are living with a person whom you don't trust. After some time, you feel so restless about that. I don't trust this person. In the same way, if you don't believe in that liberation, believe in the state of freedom, you will not be able to stay in meditation. Many people say, Swami, in meditation, my mind is so agitated, disturbed, going here and there. That means you are not convinced. So conviction is not there. Why conviction is not there? Because there is doubt. Why doubt is there? That's absence of clarity. Why there is absence of clarity? Because you have not thought about it. Why I have not thought about it? Because you have not taught properly. Why you have not properly? Because you didn't get the right teacher. So if you go back and you will find that even correct knowledge is not taken place, therefore there is no and there is absence of clarity. Because of clarity, absence of clarity, there is doubt, and because of the doubt, you are not able to stay there. Again and again, you come back. I don't know. It's all thing. People just talk about it. I think it's all hypothesis. It's not true. So important is to have the right teacher and teaching. So you have understood what is the nature of bondage. Now I will tell you what is the nature of liberation. This is a very, very highly technical, philosophical discussion. You must be ready for that because it's going to become a little abstract now. Huh? It's going to become abstract. Don't get distracted. Drashtu drishyasya sattahi bandayityavidiyate दृष्टा दृश्यवशात् बद्धः दृश्य अभावे विमुच्यते. See, this is where the philosophy comes in very, very powerfully. Think of this kind of discussion taking place 10,000 years back. Think of the culture of thinking at that time. If so many years back people have thought about this, it is not somebody's fanciful idea. It has come to them after so many years before so many people have thought about it. It has accumulated or assimilated into their way of discussion. The way they looked at the world is different at that time, which has given them freedom. And what is the nature of bondage? He says, Drishtu drishyasya sattahi bandha ityabhidiyate. In any transaction, worldly transaction, there is a person who is seeing or perceiving, and there is something that is perceived. If I am looking at you, I, the one who is a perceiver, must be different from what I perceive. Any experience is because of this dichotomy. The dichotomy of the seer or perceiver being different from what is seen or perceived is what is called experience. This duality is the bondage. What is bondage then? Bondage is not something created by the world because you divided the world. That division is the cause for the bondage. Drishya drashtu sattahi. That reality that is given to the duality between perceiver and the perceived. Bandha ityabhidiyate. This is bondage. So this is a very high level of thinking. See, it is not that somebody like evil or devil or somebody who is very crooked is creating hell to us or creating such a... No, nobody does that. It is your misunderstanding. The world to be divided into parts. The seer and the seen are different. Okay, so which means what? If I open my eyes, I see the world, right? My ears are there listening to sound. My nose is there smelling. My tongue is there tasting. My skin is there feeling. You mean to say this world which I cannot avoid but perceive, and me being the perceiver, perceiving this world, there is always this dichotomy, then I am always in bondage. Then what is the question of liberation then? What is the freedom then? Where can I run? Go to some heaven. There also you see things. Anywhere you go. Oh, in heaven everything is pleasant. What do you mean? There you don't see things. There you don't hear, taste, smell, touch, walk, talk. Anywhere you go, the perception will continue. So how do I overcome this? Should I blame what I perceive or the fact that I perceive? No. The second line is the drishta, seer, perceiver, drishyavashad baddha. We are bound by what we perceive. That is where the problem is. Drishta, seer, drishyavashah. He is controlled by what he sees. That is called the bondage. Drishya abhave, when that perception is not there, vimuchyate. It's free. In sleep. What do you see in sleep? Oh, I got it. So that means liberation is in sleep. So that means the liberation you talk, oh, it is so simple. Go to sleep. That's what most people do when we give lectures. Ah, Swamiji. We are already there. We are talking still. We are already there. Experiencing. So you mean to say getting rid of the world or withdrawing from the world, not seeing anymore, no, nothing to see, hear, taste, smell, or touch, or feel nothing. Freedom. Is that what you're talking about? Destroy the perception. So Vedanta as a means of knowledge does not want you to do an act of destruction or withdraw from the world. Then it is only for the escapists, those who run away from this world, don't want to meet the world. No. That's why the word sattha is very important. Giving reality. See that? Drishtu drishtyasya sattahi. Giving reality to the fact of difference. Jagati satya buddhi It is the example that is given is a dog is put in a room where there is a mirror all over. There's a mirror here, there's a mirror there, there's a mirror there, and there's everywhere. First, when it goes, it first gets shocked. Huh? Ah! And it starts barking. Now, and everything is barking towards him, right? Because this fellow is barking and looking at the mirror, and that also barks in. And he gets very wild. Go on barking. And goes and scratching that. And that also scratches him. Then what should he do? Is it real that there are many dogs which are torturing the dog there? Huh? It is the dog's its own reflection is scaring it. What is scaring the dog? Not the mirror, but mirror reflection. Not even mirror reflection. It is reality you give to the mirror reflection that it is true. There are dogs here. One place I found a board which said, "Dog is okay. Be careful about the owner." So we are not here to withdraw from the world. It will be there, but don't give reality. It is that it is true. She also asked this question in the evening. Let us say that you say, okay, if I see something, I get attracted, I close my eyes. But what about the nose? The smell comes to me. I don't go for the smell. When the flower is there, the smell, I don't go for it. It comes to me. But don't give reality to it. Even if you give reality to it, don't think that it is going to give you joy or happiness. That is another. See, you cannot stop the world from what it is. But giving reality is also, you cannot try, because you have to transact with that. But don't think that it is going to add happiness to you. Shobana Adhyasa, it's called. Satta Abhyasa, Shobana Adhyasa, Sukha Dukkha Abhyasa. This is what Guruji also writes there. What this advantage is? First one is, it is true. That itself is an adhyasa, superimposition. Second, it is attractive, it is nice. Second. Third, it is going to give me joy. What is the third one? So when you see the Rasmalai sitting there, okay. You see it. You cannot, I don't want to see Rasmalai anymore. So you see it. But it doesn't stop there. I had yesterday, it is so tasty. So that second thought has come, it is tasty. It is made from all India sweets. It must be tasty. Wow, Swamiji, it is so tasty. Third one is, I want it because I am just unhappy without that now. See the step process of bondage. And as even you thinking about the only one item that was left behind, only one piece. Unhappiness. What is that unhappiness? It is not created by the Rasmalai, right? It's because you depriving a pleasure which you have superimposed. Rasmalai is such an innocent thing that is sitting there. It has no ability to give you unhappiness, nor happiness. But your projection of the thought that that is the source of my joy, gone. I am very unhappy. My Rasmalai is not. You know, in Tamil, Rasamlai means Rasamillai. There is no Rasam in that. So it is actually not there, but you are superimposing the idea of Rasam, joy in that. So what is the cause of bondage? Tell me now. Is it the world or the fact that you perceive the world? No. You give reality to the joy that you derive out of that. That is the bondage. So, drishtuhu drishyasya satta. The seer and the seen real. That is the bondage, because the seer, the perceiver, is caught, bound by what he or she sees, perceives. And in the absence of that perceived object, the drishta is free. That removal of the perception, perceiver, perceived object, is not by rejection of the world, but falsifying it. The word is falsification. Abhaditam, it's in Sanskrit. Abhadita means it has no reality. Hmm. It is not non-existence, huh? Please. That's a Buddhist view. The world doesn't exist, right? You see it. But the world doesn't exist the way you see it. That is the point there. It is not there, but it is not the way you look at it. That is what is called Maya there. It is not absence of the world, but absence of the way you look at the world. I see a thing and I'm attracted to it. Another sees a thing and then he gets very hateful of it. Now, that is the aspect which should be removed. Not the object itself. So, we do not know whether Buddha taught it in that way or not. That's how the people have interpreted it. Shunyam. The world doesn't exist. Then you are free. How can the world become absent? Only in sleep. Or even if you say in the state of deep samadhi, you go there and well, the whole world is ordered. Fine. Don't you come back? You want to stay there only? You have to come back. Then again the world comes. Then what will you do with that world? Run away. Sarvam, kshanigam, kshanigam, sarvam, dukkam, dukkam. You can never be happy then. And if you are never happy, what is the idea of liberation? What are you liberating yourself? So, the world is not non-existent, but it is not the way you think it is. That is satta, the reality of that shobhana adhyasa that you are doing. That needs to be questioned. The bondage is created by, therefore, the reality of the superimposition that you have created upon it. See, when you are in the state of dream, you see it, right? You see the tree. Does it exist for you? Yes. Is it real? No. That is the question to be asked. In the dream, I see, but the question is it real? If the question arises at the time of dream, you will get up immediately. You wake up or not? If you ask that question, is it real? The moment you ask that question, you're awake. Similarly, here, at this moment, if we don't ask that dangerous question, the moment you ask that question, boom, you come out of it. Swamiji, I'm ready for it, but my wife is not ready for it. Arey bhai, your wife is a part of that same thing. In this path, you cannot take anybody along with you, please. Unless that person is ready for it. I will get liberated along with my wife, Swamiji. What do you mean? What do you mean? Here there is no what you call discount affair. Come with your company, you'll get more discount. Nothing like that. Family discount is not available. What is it called? Company, what is it called? Co-traveler, what is that called? Co-passenger discount. There's nothing. Accompanied, what is it called? Companion discount, not available. It is a path for individual alone, because according to his or her karma and maturity and degree and understanding and seeing that, it is independent of everybody. Nobody has come with anybody and nobody can go with anybody. And independent. Okay, okay. We will see that tomorrow. Interesting. Tomorrow we'll have two sessions. Those who are able to come, please do. 9 o'clock to 10, then 11 to 12. We'll have, no, 9 to 10:30 maybe, 1.5 hours, and then half an hour break, and then 11 to 12, and then we'll have some question answer session and conclude. I may not finish the book, obviously. So, to the extent we can do that. ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ